Sometimes, right before a major quantum leap, life feels off. Not chaotic, not entirely peaceful, but as if something is shifting beneath the surface in a way you can't quite pinpoint. The conversations around you seem a little empty. The routines that once comforted you suddenly feel meaningless. Even your ambitions, the ones you once pursued with such drive, now seem flavorless. And that can be unsettling because we're conditioned to believe progress looks like constant motion, relentless doing. But in truth, this odd stillness you're sensing is one of the clearest signs your life is preparing to change. It's not stagnation, it's not apathy, it's recalibration. In quantum mechanics, before a particle transitions to a new state, it enters a phase of uncertainty. Physicists call it superposition, a moment when the particle holds every possible outcome at once, none yet solidified. This isn't a pause, it's the most dynamic state there is. Here, all potentials exist simultaneously. And you right now are in that same state, a liminal space, a threshold between timelines where the old you is fading and the new one is forming in a reality that already exists quantumly. The human mind, fixated on linear progress, fights to trust this. It craves proof, milestones, action. But the quantum realm doesn't follow those rules. What you're feeling is the unraveling of an old vibrational blueprint. Picture your life as a web of patterns, beliefs, and energetic imprints. For years, those patterns held you at a certain frequency, tethering you to a specific timeline. But when your higher self decides it's time to shift, that web starts to fray. Threads break, old energetic agreements expire. And because this happens vibrationally before it manifests physically, the first thing you notice is the quiet, the hollowness, the loss of your old motivations. It might feel like something's wrong, when in truth, it's the surest sign something is about to go profoundly right. Spiritually, many traditions call this phase the void. Mystics describe it as fertile darkness, the space where creation takes root before emerging into light. In the void, your soul is realigning to match the reality you're calling in. The old tools you relied on may no longer serve you because they belonged to the identity you're shedding. Your task now isn't to panic, but to breathe into the stillness and trust it. The silence isn't empty. It's alive with quantum information reshaping your reality in ways your conscious mind can't yet grasp. Science backs this too. Studies on neuroplasticity show the brain needs downtime to rewire for new patterns. When stepping into a new frequency, your nervous system adapts, your brain's predictive models reset, and your body learns a fresh, energetic baseline. This recalibration is vital. You can't bring the chaos of the old timeline into the stability of the new. You must release before you can receive. Think of the hush before a symphony begins. The lights dim, the crowd quiets, the musicians ready themselves. That silence isn't wasted. It's the prelude to something extraordinary. Or imagine a bowstring pulled taut before the arrow flies. The tension isn't a delay, it's the force that will propel you forward. Right now, the universe is drawing you back, not to hold you still, but to launch you further than effort alone could take you. Here's the catch. Most misread this phase and sabotage their leap. They fear the stillness, mistake the void for failure, and rush to fill it with old habits or distractions. But resistance prolongs the suspension between timelines. Those who leap are the ones who embrace the quiet, who recognize it as progress, not absence. If you reframe the calm as a quantum loading screen for your next chapter, you'll start catching subtle clues. The field is rearranging. A passing conversation, that sparks insight, a sudden emotional release, clarity where there was once confusion. These aren't accidents. They're micro-adjustments in your frequency, aligning you with the new reality. So if you're here, feeling untethered, unsure of the next step, but certain the past is gone, congratulations. You're in the exact vibrational space where transformation becomes inevitable. And in the moments ahead, I'll show you how to not just endure this phase, but use it as fuel for your quantum leap. Because once you see it for what it is, you'll stop fighting it and start moving toward your next timeline with clarity, trust, and the undeniable pull of inevitability. One of the biggest misconceptions about a quantum leap is that it rarely starts with a surge of energy or some cosmic signal. More often, it begins with friction, not the chaotic kind that upends your life, but subtle, disorienting moments where what once worked for you no longer fits. Relationships that felt easy now feel stifling. Work that once fulfilled you feels empty. Even your inner voice starts to sound unfamiliar, as if it belongs to a past version of you. This is the frequency mismatch phase, when your soul vibrates higher, while parts of your life still operate at the old frequency. In quantum terms, this is decoherence, your inner state and outer reality no longer in sync. The tension becomes undeniable, and that tension isn't a mistake. It's a sign your current reality can't sustain the energy of where you're headed. Think of it like running new software on an old device. The system will stutter, glitch, and crash not because something's broken, but because an upgrade is needed. That upgrade is your quantum leap. Spiritually, this is where many start doubting everything. Why do I feel like I'm unraveling when I'm supposed to be rising? The truth is, you're not falling apart. You're falling out of sync with your old timeline. And that dissonance is the very force pushing you toward the new one. Picture standing with one foot on each of two boats drifting apart. Eventually, you'll have to choose one, and the one matching your frequency will always feel like relief, even if it means leaving familiarity behind. This is where most get stuck. The mind, uneasy with uncertainty, clings to the past. It will urge you to repair what's breaking, to salvage what's crumbling, to revive what's fading. But in the quantum field, restoring the old is regression. What feels like collapse is actually shedding old beliefs, patterns, and identities that can't follow you forward. If you rush to reassemble them, you delay the leap. If you let them dissolve, you speed it up. Physics offers a metaphor here. When an electron jumps to a higher orbit, it must absorb an exact amount of energy, no more, no less. Once it hits that threshold, it shifts instantly. There's no halfway. Likewise, your quantum leap happens when your frequency aligns with the reality you're entering, not when you force it, but when you fully release the old frequency so the new one can lock in. This is why frantic effort backfires. The urge to fix, prove, or push means you're trying to force two incompatible realities together, and effort is always slower than alignment. The quantum field doesn't care how hard you work. It cares how clearly you vibrate. One moment of true resonance does more for your shift than weeks of scattered action. If you've noticed things slipping away, friendships, opportunities, even parts of yourself, try this. Instead of asking, "How do I get them back?" ask, "What's making space for?" That slight shift in questioning moves you from resistance to receptivity. In the quantum field, resistance is static. It distorts your signal. Receptivity is a direct line. It draws in the timeline, already tuned to your desires. And here's the paradox. The more you rush this stage, the longer it takes. See it as a decompression chamber between who you were and who you're becoming. In diving, ascending too fast gives you the bends. Your body can't adapt to the rapid shift in pressure. Spiritually, the same rule applies. If you try to leap without integrating the energetic shifts, your system will pull you back to stabilize. This is why patience, trust, and presence aren't passive states. They're active parts of the jump. So if right now, your life feels half erased, if you're standing in the rubble of what no longer fits, but can't yet see what's being built, you're exactly where you need to be. This isn't a detour. This is the launch pad. The dissonance you feel is the energy coiling up, ready to propel you into the reality that already exists for you in the quantum field. Your only job is to stop clinging to the edge of the old boat and let the current of the new one carry you. Because here's the truth, your quantum jump isn't waiting for the right time. It's waiting for the right you. And the moment you stop trying to fix what's leaving and start tuning into what's arriving, the field will snap into place around you. That's when the shift happens, suddenly, seamlessly, with a sense of inevitability that'll make you wonder why you ever doubted it. Right before a quantum jump, you might notice your emotions feel amplified, like someone turned up the volume on every feeling. One moment, you're buzzing with excitement, sure something extraordinary is coming. The next, doubt creeps in, whispering that maybe it's all in your head. This isn't moodiness or inconsistency. It's the emotional signature of a system in transition. In neuroscience, your brain works on predictive coding, constantly running mental simulations based on past patterns. Even as your higher self pulls you toward a new reality, your subconscious clings to the old blueprint, running outdated programs because they feel safer. In quantum terms, this is superposition, the strange, fascinating state where multiple possible realities exist at once. You're in both timelines, the old one you've known and the new one you're stepping into. Your emotions flicker between them. When hope surges, then uncertainty crashes in. It's not a setback. It's a sign your energy is oscillating as the field seeks coherence. The stronger the swings, the closer you are to collapse. The moment one timeline becomes the only one. That's why emotional shifts before a quantum jump feel so intense. The stakes feel higher because your inner compass is recalibrating in real time. Every belief, memory, and attachment you've carried is being scanned by your consciousness. Does this belong in the new reality, or is it a relic of the old? That process is emotional by nature, because emotions are the chemical signals of change. They tell your body you're in uncharted territory, and your body's instinct is to cling to the familiar even when it's misaligned. The mistake most make is seeing doubt as proof they're failing. They think, if I were really close to my quantum jump, I wouldn't feel this much fear. But that's like thinking turbulence means the plane isn't flying, when really, turbulence means you're moving through layers of atmosphere that require adjustment. Your emotions are adapting to an altitude you've never flown at before. The sooner you learn to ride the currents, instead of white-knuckling the seat, the smoother the journey gets. Here's a key shift. Instead of labeling emotions as good or bad, see them as energy signatures. Joy, excitement, fear, doubt. They're all currents moving through your field. None are wrong. They just show where your focus is right now. If you react to them as obstacles, you amplify the swings. If you observe them as indicators, you stabilize your signal toward the reality you want. Spiritually, these heightened emotions are a kind of initiation. The universe is asking, Can you hold your frequency steady even as the winds change? Because the timeline you're entering will bring new challenges and unknowns. Your ability to stay coherent now prepares you to thrive later. So emotional turbulence isn't a test you can fail. It's the training ground for your vibrational stability. One practice that speeds this up is conscious neutrality. When excitement peaks, don't cling to it as proof you're on track. When doubt rises, don't treat it as a warning to retreat. Instead, breathe through both, knowing they're temporary fluctuations in a much bigger arc. Picture yourself as the eye of the storm centered, watching the chaos swirl without being swept away. This emotional mastery is the mark of someone moments away from stepping into their chosen reality. So if lately your emotions have been all over the place, know this: you're not unstable, you're in motion. The field is adjusting to hold you in the frequency of your new timeline, and the more smoothly you ride these waves, the quicker the oscillation settles into a single, solid reality. Soon, you won't be shifting between worlds. You'll have fully arrived in the one you've been calling in. Most people picture the final test before a quantum leap as if the universe were a strict teacher, standing at the front of the room with a red pen, ready to grade their work. But the truth is far more personal and far more empowering. This isn't the universe judging whether you're worthy. It's your own subconscious running its final check, bringing up the last remnants of your old self so you can consciously choose to release them. You might suddenly face the same kind of challenges you thought you'd moved past. A conversation that irritates you, just like an old relationship used to. A money situation that sparks the same scarcity fear you felt years ago. Or a wave of self-doubt that feels strangely familiar. These moments aren't punishments. They're mirrors, reflecting the frequency you once lived in so you can decide, once and for all, whether you still want to stay there. From a neuroscience perspective, your brain loves efficiency. It always defaults to the most familiar pathways first, the well-practiced responses, beliefs, and behaviors you've repeated for years. When you're on the verge of a quantum leap, those old neural patterns are still active, hoping for one last confirmation to keep them in place. The only way to rewire them isn't through force, but through demonstration acting as the new version of yourself, even when old triggers appear. Every time you choose the higher frequency response, you weaken the old pathway and strengthen the new one. In quantum terms, this is the collapse of the old probability wave. Until you make a new choice, both versions of you, the one who reacts from the past and the one who responds from alignment, exist at once. The moment you act in line with your chosen reality, you collapse the old self's existence, and the new one becomes the only signal you're sending out. This is why the challenges right before a shift feel so intense. They're the final overlap between who you were and who you're becoming. Spiritually, this stage isn't a test, but a ceremonial crossing. It's the moment you stand at the threshold, holding the key to your new reality, and the only thing the door asks is for you to respond from the frequency you've been building. If you meet scarcity with gratitude, anger with compassion, doubt with steady presence, you're not just symbolically ready, you're vibrationally locked into your new timeline. The field doesn't need to approve you, it simply reflects who you're being. And in this moment, being is everything. The danger lies in misreading the signs. Many see these resurfacing challenges as proof they're moving backward. They think, if I'm still attracting this, I must be failing. But the truth is, their very appearance means you've shifted enough to clear them from your field. You can't release what you haven't outgrown. The fact that you're aware of these patterns now and even questioning how to respond differently is the clearest sign you're almost there. Think of it like a flight simulator. Pilots train for turbulence, so they know exactly how to stabilize the plane when it happens for real. The final tests before a quantum leap are your simulator runs. They let you practice your new state under conditions that would have once thrown you off. Pass this test, meaning respond from your upgraded frequency, and you're not just envisioning your new reality, you're living it in real time. So if you're facing tension, setbacks, or people from your past reappearing, don't assume you're stuck. See it as the clearest sign you're right at the edge of your leap. This is the moment to hold your alignment fiercely, to act as if the jump has already happened, because in a very real quantum sense, it has. Engagement command. Anchor your decision by typing in the comments, "I'm ready to pass the test," and let that be your quantum signal that you've already crossed. Here's the thing, nobody tells you about a quantum leap. It rarely comes with fanfare. In movies, the big transformation is dramatic fireworks, soaring music, a before and after so stark you can't miss it. But in actual quantum reality, the shift often comes quietly. One day, you wake up and realize the fear you once felt is gone. The problem you fixated on suddenly seems unimportant. A conversation that would have upset you last month now leaves you untouched. The change doesn't make a grand entrance, it just becomes part of you. And because it feels so effortless, your mind might even brush it off, wondering, was that all? This is why grasping quantum change matters. In physics, when an electron jumps to a higher energy level, it happens in an instant. There's no slow ascent, no visible effort. One moment it's here, the next it's there. That's exactly how you switch timelines. The shift isn't about spectacle, it's about alignment. The old frequency fades so completely that it's hard to recall why it ever felt familiar. Neurologically, this is integration. Your brain has stopped activating the old pathways and begun cementing the new ones. You don't have to force yourself to think differently. It's just how you are now. This is why so many miss their leap. It feels effortless. And that's the point. The you in this new reality doesn't see it as a revelation. It's just life. Spiritually, this quiet transition is the ultimate confirmation. It's the universe saying, you've aligned so fully, there's nothing left to chase. You're simply living it. This stage carries a deep calm, a sense of no longer reaching, but being. And ironically, it's when you stop seeking signs that they appear everywhere. Unexpected opportunities, people arriving at the perfect time, synchronicities piling up like guideposts. The risk here is doubting the process, falling back into overthinking, overdoing, or questioning because you assume manifestation must feel huge. But drama belongs to the past. The new reality is about ease. It's trusting that just because the shift felt subtle doesn't mean it wasn't profound. In fact, the quietest changes are often the most permanent. They reshape who you are. Not just your life, but your being. This is when you lean into embodiment. Instead of asking, did it happen? You ask, how do I live fully as this new me? Every choice from here deepens the reality you've entered. Every action now reflects alignment, not struggle. And that's when the quantum field responds with even greater clarity, weaving new possibilities into your life without force. So if you expected your leap to feel like a bang, notice the whispers, the mornings you wake lighter, the conversations free of tension, the sudden ease in choices that once froze you. These are the signs. You're already there. Now your only task is to stay. Here's the truth. If you've read this far today, it's no accident. You're hearing this because you're already resonating with a higher timeline. You've already tuned into the version of you that has what you've sought. This isn't about arriving anymore. You are there. Now it's about grounding, embodying, and growing. Quantum leaps are just the start. The field responds not to craving, but to alignment. And you've proven you can hold that alignment long enough to create a new reality. The next step? Make this frequency your default. No reverting to old patterns when things slow down. No testing the universe to check if it's working. It's about rooting so deeply in this new self that it's unshakable. Remember, you're not here to wrestle life into place. You're here to match the reality that already holds your desires, then watch it unfold with effortless grace. That's the magic of quantum harmony. I'll see you next time. Until then, stay aligned, stay present, and trust the quiet power of the leap you've taken.